Originally, I made a video on how Metal Grid got fixed and then used the Iron Golem charges to be able to have an Insight Golem with my Energy Shield Nova Sorceress to become quote-unquote immortal. And I got a comment from Non-Per Calamum saying that the build guide was misleading as so many wouldn't be able to have all the items shown in the video within a full ladder season, as the items are more endgame focused. Despite that I typically don't make builds focused on what could be made within a ladder season, I respect their opinion. And this comment also is what's helped kick off me doing both endgame and budget versions of builds for anyone to hopefully be able to enjoy despite their wealth in the game. Inspired by their comment, today I'm going to be doing a budgeted version of the Energy Shield Nova Sorceress, and I will also address how the build would work without Metal Grid. I'm going to go over the attributes, the skill tree, the gear for my character and my mercenary, and afterwards I'm going to show you guys some gameplay so you could see this build in action. But do keep in mind that when it comes to this build, there are different ways you can be able to gear the character depending on your needs, whether you're trying to go for maximum DPS, you're trying to do a magic find character, or a hybrid of the two. Just keep in mind when it comes to looking at the gear choices that I'm going to be choosing, that you can choose alternative gear depending on the demand that you have for your build. Now let's go ahead and get into the video. For the attributes, because we're using Energy Shield, this is not going to be a max vitality setup, but we're going to be focusing on maxing energy. I have enough strength and dexterity to be able to equip my gear, and everything else is dumped into energy. For the skill trees, starting with the 1 point wonders, for the cold skill tree, there's 1 point into frozen armor to better our odds for survivability. Then for the fire skill tree, there's 1 point into warmth for mana regeneration, and all the remaining points go into the lightning skill tree. The main skills to focus on are maxing static and Nova, as Nova is our main skill that we're going to be using to deal damage, and static is a synergy of Nova. Then on the right, we're going to be maxing Energy Shield, as with the skill, our damage will be converted from our health to our mana. Then maxing out Lightning Mastery to boost our lightning damage, and the remaining points will be put into Telekinesis because, having slightly less mana consumed per point invested into it as Energy Shield synergy, it's more important to offer more damage output, especially with our Mercenary's weapon helping us to keep our mana resupplemented to not then have to use mana potions. For the gear, it's important to understand where the focus is on for why this gear is chosen. Damage reduction, boost to mana and mana after kill to constantly replenish it, helping with lightning damage, FCR, and plus the skills wherever we can get it. For the helm, I'm going to be using Rockstopper for the small boost to vitality and the damage reduction if you can get it to roll well. However, good alternatives would be the Runeward Lore for the plus the skills, damage reduced by 7, plus 10 to energy, increasing the mana pool, and 2 to mana after each kill. Also, Tarnhelm is good for magic finding as well as it has plus the skills, which is great for this build, especially with how easy it is to find this item, or how cheap it is to be able to trade for it. But if you can find one, Harlequin Crush Shaco is good for the plus the skills, damage reduction, the boost to life and mana, and the additional magic find is always welcome. And I saved mentioning this for last as it's the least budget of the aforementioned choices and wanted to keep this more budgeted. The amulet is a crafted caster amulet for the plus the skills as well as FCR. The body armor is Skin of the Viper Magi for the FCR, magic damage reduction, plus the skills, and the resistances are always welcome, but again with Energy Shield, they aren't important to focus on. A great alternative is Kay Hagen's Wisdom for the FCR, faster hit recovery, plus the skills, and 3 to mana after each kill seems small, but if teleporting within large groups of enemies and killing them quickly, you'll be able to start seeing it add up. The most budget option would be Stealth, something most of us rush to be able to make at the beginning of a playthrough, and with its regenerate mana as well as magic damage reduced to top off the FCR and FHR in the right base, this could be a good budget choice to use until you find something better. For the weapon, this was a hard choice to be able to choose from, but I'm using Crescent Moon. Of the other options, adding additional plus the skills and some FCR, in my opinion, couldn't beat reducing an enemy's lightning resistance, as well as Magic Absorb, and the 2 to mana after each kill that, when stacking up with all the other gear having the same stat, will be helping to keep our mana from falling too low to put this build in critical danger. But a good alternative would be a Suicide Branch for the plus the skills, boost to FCR, and the increasing maximum mana by 10% would be really beneficial. However, the Spirit Sword seems like it would be the go-to choice to use as it seems to be made for this budget build. Big boost to FHR, even bigger boost to mana, boost to vitality, FCR, and the plus the skills to top it off. It is a great choice to use, especially with how quick this can be made to give you an edge early on when going through the game. However, the last choice I'm actually going to be using on Switch, which is a Wizard Spike, as it has both regenerate mana and increase the maximum mana by 15%, big boost to FCR, plus the mana per character level, and again, the resistances aren't needed but are always welcome. Crescent Moon's ability to be able to reduce the enemy's lightning resistance, in my opinion, is still the superior choice, as it helps to make the lightning damage that we do with this build go even further. And instead of playing it safe with the weapon, so long as we are playing this build to its strengths, will help you from needing to focus as much on survivability, and can always be switched to the Wizard Spike if needed, or randomly get a large chunk of mana taken away. For the shield, I'm using a Rhyme Shield for the Cannot Be Frozen, regenerate mana, and the help with blocking for the instances that we get hit by anything. Good alternatives are Ancient's Pledge for the help with poison damage, despite that all resistances are helped out, and the damage taken goes to mana to be able to help keep our health pool as untouched as it can be. The Spirit Shield is also a great choice for all the boost to mana as well as the plus to skills, FCR and FHR. And a little as well for going both very budget with the plus to skills, FCR, increasing maximum mana and plus to mana after each kill, but also for those who want to keep their strength requirements low. This is a great choice to help allocate the otherwise needed points into strength for the Spirit Shield, now going into energy. The boots are Silkweeds for the faster run walk in case we cannot teleport, or it's too dangerous to teleport but need to still run, plus to mana after each kill, and increasing maximum mana by 10%. The first ring is a rare ring with FCR. The belt is String of Ears for the dual damage reductions, both the magic and physical damage. A good alternative would be Night Smoke for the small boost to mana, damage reduced by 2, and 50% of damage taken goes to mana, despite that's what Energy Shield is already focusing on. Or for those wanting to magic find, Gold Wrap is a great option to use. The second ring is another FCR ring. The gloves are Mage Fist for the FCR and regenerate mana by 25%. A good alternative would be Frostburns for the increase to maximum mana by 40%. On Switch, as mentioned earlier, I'm using Wizard's Bite because I'll be teleporting on Switch, and then when it comes to killing anything, switching back to my main hand where I'll be using Crescent Moon. This helps to keep up our survivability, but also to ensure that we can get around and find enemies to kill, as constantly teleporting around could easily start to drain our mana. For the inventory, I have my cube, both tomes, 2 lightning skillers, as well as a Sunder Charm as they are now available to be found in single player offline. And having this will allow for more flexibility for where you'll be able to farm in the game, as you would now not have to deal with lightning immunes. The small charms are a mix of everything, some magic find, FHR, life, and some help with resistances because, despite using Energy Shield where the only resistance to worry about is poison, as it bypasses mana, in case the mercenary dies, having some positive resistances will help with being able to survive long enough to teleport away and revive him to continue farming. However, if you want to focus strictly on magic finding, adding more MF small charms would be ideal for you. For the mercenary, he is actually the Act 2 Prayer Mercenary. This is because he has 3 different paladin defensive skills working together to be able to help him stay alive much easier. But it also helps with my Sorceress's health pool as well in case hers ever starts to drop. He is using a Cure Helm for the cleansing aura to be able to help rid us of any curses, especially amp damage, as fast as possible. His body armor is Treachery for the Fade proc to be able to help with his own survivability. However, it is not the best in slot choice, but it's what I had readily available. And his weapon is Insight for the Meditation aura to be able to help replenish my mana as fast as possible. What's nice about how the Prayer Mercenary works is when looking at both Meditation and Cure, both skills are described as prayer without costing mana. So technically speaking, he now has 3 sources of prayer on him, and they both synergize and stack together to boost his health recovery, the Sorceress's health recovery, and all while helping replenish my mana, adding much more value to Energy Shield Nova Sorceress builds. Now that we've discussed the attributes, the skill trees, the gear for my character and my mercenary, let's go ahead and check out this build in action to see how well it actually plays out. I'm going to show a very quick example of different places that this build performed the best when testing this out. First to Eldritch, then moving down to Shank, now let's go to the pits. This build, as it's set up, works best with the idea that the damage from the Novas isn't really high, but with the Sunder Charm as well as the negative enemy lightning resistance, it helps to have the damage go further to do more without needing semi-expensive to GG gear to perform well. This is great for those who maybe were like me and didn't give this build a try until several years after playing other Sorceress builds. It is limited mostly to players 1. However, with how well it performs in the pits, a level 85 area, with more Magic Find gear and maybe a weekend of farming, the potential for the drops that could boost your damage output are quite high, helping you to take this build further and to make it even more viable and effective with farming, increasing clear speed, and overall just becoming even more fun to play. No, that's not enough. Let us go to Pendle and see how well she handles him and his minions. And just like that, clears all of them no problem. And he could drop all but 3 items in the game, and running him for hundreds of runs could take as little as a day, allowing for so many essential GG drops to potentially happen and, again, bring this build to the next level. This build is quite safe if played to its strengths, while still being very budgeted, allowing players to give it a try without a lot of investment needed to be able to make it fun. But I do understand that many would want to build with a lot higher damage output that clears much faster on higher player settings. And if that's you, I suggest you check out my endgame focus Energy Shield Nova Sorceress using Metal Grid. Granted, Metal Grid is more of a luxury for the build, but without it, giving a Mercenary Insight and using the Lightning Center Charm will still give you an amazing clear speed, even on higher player settings. And that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and were able to see if this build would be something that you would be interested in going into the future, and if anything, at least just enjoyed the video. If you like this kind of content and want to see more, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification to be notified whenever a new video comes out.
Come on. Come on. Come on then. There you are. There you are.
And if you like this video, please let me know by leaving a like. It really is appreciated to be able to help my channel to grow. And if you want to see more of my Diablo 2 Resurrected content, make sure to click the card in the corner up above to check out my Diablo 2 Resurrected playlist with a lot of videos already in it, with a lot more coming in the very near future. Other than that, I hope you guys are staying safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.